with Samson, the lab bully, and little girl, the Chiweenie. If you're new here, welcome. I would ask that you just be patient while I get through the information I need to get through to try and do my best and do my part as a human being, as a person of mankind, to try and help people that are willing to listen through this time. So if you're new here, I've been doing this for a while now. In around 2017, God started waking me up, giving me dreams. I was raised in the Catholic Church. I had left when I turned about 14, and spent my adulthood pretty much working to provide for my children because I was told that's what needed to be done. So that's what I did. And I'm playing catch up with a lot of things that most of you already have learned or know already, and that's fine with me. But I do believe I have something to add to this area. Because when I say God woke me up, He woke me up in a very radical way when I took a trip to Florida in 2019. He told me the areas to avoid. Oh, drat, I forgot to put that video in the folder. Which were Florida, Michigan, New Jersey, Texas, California, New York. I think that was it. And I also noticed an influx of residents moving to my small town in Ohio from Florida. That's key in what I'm going to tell you. I do believe in God. I believe God has the final say, but I know that mankind has to participate in our own life story and in our own redemption. We're not meant to sit on our hands. So while God may be allowing some of these things, we need someone to expose what's going on behind the cameras. Now, the media is saying that people are interfering. Let me be very clear. I am not physically in those areas. I'm in Northeast Ohio. I will donate whatever I can when I find a group that I think will give it directly to people, or I will find a small Appalachian channel to donate to. That's what I prefer. I believe that people are suffering, but I believe that they are suffering more and will continue to suffer because of corporate greed and because of an old story about the Anunnaki that they really wanted us to believe. They want us to believe that we were created for nothing other than to mine gold. And you see, that's what the media is not going to show you. That's what they're not going to tell you. And again, they show us, they put it right in front of us. And if we don't say we do not consent, then they take that as passive consent. So I'm going to say something right now, and then I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to show you these videos just to build trust, just to show you that, yes, I have been talking about this for years, just trying to get people to listen. This is not a monetized channel. I'm not doing this for money. I'm not doing it for fame. And in fact, I've been greatly persecuted by my own family and shunned by my own community and people that I took care of because of this, because I'm speaking out. But I have to tell you the things that I think I know, or at least where the paper trail, the electronic trail in my own family, because I saw them changing. I wanted to know what had happened. And I know that they have money that I do not have. They deny it. They'll never admit to it. But the questions that I was asked when this all started happening, they were very excited that money was not important to me. They were very glad that I did not want any money. I'm very well aware that my funds have been used for investments that these people have made as well. I'm very well aware that they've exploited the gift that the Lord gave me, much like Paul, when he tells the diviner and he delivers her right then and there and tells her to get away from him. I believe that the gift the Lord gave me, they're trying to exploit, which I don't consent to either. I don't give them, when they ask me what stock I think is good or what kind of tennis shoe, like I'm very careful now about the information that I give these people. This is not about me. This is about the journey that God is showing me so that I can show you. There are other people out there like me. So please just be patient. I will get to what I'm getting to. Yes, these are disasters that have occurred, but I believe mankind has propagated the disaster and now that they are profiting from it. I believe, as usual, the media is not showing you the complete story, even when I look at YouTubers. And I've told you this for years. Most of them will tell you, I'm ex-military, I'm ex-military, I'm ex-military. The clue there is they're not ex-military. We are being propagandized to by our own military, Many of them probably sold out because, and a lot of this is speculation. These are insights and gifts that I believe God, the creator maker, the one who made me, blesses me with, and I'm not meant to hoard them. I'm meant to give them away for free. Let me make this very clear. If you want to give a gift to Sam to help me care for him, that's one thing. The channels in 5 years have not topped $2,000 altogether. I think I got help getting his initial shots. So this is not about money for me. Please understand that. I'm going to leave this video up for a little bit, I hope, so that more people hopefully can see it. What they're doing right now and what they're showing you, please be very careful. People are saying that their GPSs, they're going down there to help. Number one, if you don't have a skill set, then you have nothing to offer. You will actually just get in the way. I know this from being in healthcare. The second thing is you can tell a lot of these people on these channels are plainclothes military, and they're taking videos of them outside the buildings. They're all very careful to be smiling. It looks like an army ad, and I'm not kidding. You can see this if you watch it yourself. And I'm not talking about everyone, right? Like, not everyone is in on this, but there are people in on it because, number one, they have family to protect, right? Their family probably comes first to them. Number two, greed. Some people just want money and they want a slice of the pie that's coming. I don't care about any of that, and I don't care if you care about that. My goal is to try and help you prepare your soul and your spirit, because I can't really help you physically prepare. I could teach you how to fish. That I can do. I can teach you how to tie a couple of knots and do basic CPR and first aid. But aside from that, I have nothing to offer as far as prepping your body. So I've been trying to prep your soul since the end of 2019 with the original channel, Bari and Jen. When the stalking and the intimidation in my real life, in my town, got to be too extreme, I took that channel down because I wanted to see what would happen. I wanted to see if they would close in on me then once I got rid of the channel, and they did. So I hope that people actually get to see this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open a folder. Hopefully, if it allows me to. So I will show you the dates on these. We don't have to listen to the whole thing. But I want to prove to you, again, that this is all in the up and up. Now, this was filmed on August 28th, 2021. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a little bit of this, just so you know that I was talking about the dreams that I had, and they plagued me for years before these things started happening. And you're going to say, well, why am I doing this again? Why am I doing this now? Because it's not over. There is going to be another event that will take place, and it's directly related to what they're doing underground and in these underground tunnels. I might tag missing 411 in the title. I had forgotten to do that. And no, David Paulides doesn't own that tag. 411 is actually the number instead of 911 in Canada that you would call. So it just means missing people, 911. But yes, he's the person who I guess brought it out into light. Sad to say he lost his son at the beginning of CV. Sad to say a lot of people have had made intentional sacrifices, and you should know this by now. You should not be believing what the media tells you. They want you to be looking across the world when we should be looking in our own backyards for what's happening right now. They can tell us anything's going on in Israel. Most of us wouldn't know the difference between actors and a real, a real town or a set. And believe me, if you look up Jerusalem or Israel, they've not shown us but the same block since like 1935. There's a reason for that. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to show you a little bit of this from 2021.
Yeah, I apologize. I'm walking Sam around the back side of the house here, near the tree with the split up the middle, our little family portal. Anyways,
so I'm going to let this play and let you hear about these dreams. Okay, but I'm not going to play the whole thing, just a couple minutes.
Come this way. You don't want to go back there. You could fall in that hole. That'd be bad. Come this way. Sam, don't pull. Don't pull.
Let's see if I can get past Sam here.
Harness.
I don't know if they'll let me.
But sometimes it's a little too hot, like today. That's why.
Let's see if I got.
Had risen. But I want to tell you something. Allegedly, due to global warming, the polar ice caps are melting. I definitely know that these cities were inland and that the floods are going to take a lot of people by surprise because they are not coastal cities. The coasts in my dream were decimated, the immediate coastlines. And so that dream I had numerous times. And allegedly, when you have a dream in 3, that is the confirmation that it's prophetic. Well, here's the thing. I also believe that every Bible verse is prophetic. I've come to believe that. And I also believe that every Bible verse is prophetic and or is related to the timeline, and that there's 2 other interpretations, a spiritual and a physical. So understanding that, let's go into the second one.
Now, did you hear what I said about the flooding inland and the inland cities? That's very important. Keep it in the back of your mind because this is going to take us to underground tunnels. And I know that's a wild jump to make for some people, but you have to understand each of these bits that we are getting little dribbles of truth from about human trafficking, missing 411, underground tunnels. We're just getting the basics. We're just getting we're getting the spoke of the wheel. It's time for us to put all the spokes together and to create the wheel out of all these bits. So keep the underground tunnels in the back of your mind. This is where I talk about the great earthquake, which I firmly believe is coming next. And I no longer think that we can avoid that. And I think it's our own fault, not mine and yours fault, but it's the fault of mankind because of what's happening in the tunnels. So I'm going to talk about that, but listen to this first. And remember, this is from 2021. And I'm talking again about dreams that I started having in 2016.
For understanding that, the spiritual definition or interpretation of the first dream would be a literal tsunami of spiritual darkness, of a spiritual tsunami of demons. And we've heard other people, make these phrases. And so I had those dreams of flooding around 2015 to 2016 numerous times. And then I had the big dream, which I don't know any longer if it was a dream.
I believe that it was not a dream. It was an encounter because of physical signs on my body that occurred afterwards. And they're not just things that could be mistaken. The one, and I'm going to have to tell you, I'm going to get, it was my moon cycle. And I had a certain female apparatus on my person, within my person, that was gone after this quote unquote dream. They know that I have a gift. They've been trying to tap into it for some time. But in the middle of this encounter that was against my consent, something else happened. So here we go.
Let you guys see Sammy. He's just kind of rooting around, seeing what he can find. Everything's still new and exciting to him.
And the only reason...
And he used to be as big as my shoe.
The only reason I still have my sanity, and I just have to touch on this, is to the grace of God, and so that I can help everyone else. If I had to ruminate over the things that I have been through over the last several years, I don't know that I could cope.
My foot, and now look at him. When he stands up, he's as tall as me.
And now he's bigger
he is
than
5
this.
months old, so that's crazy.
You can tell this is an older video.
So yes, he eats us out of house and home, and I appreciate the help you guys give so very much. We are still needing a crate for him, and he will definitely need a professional.
Which I had got. And once we got the crate and all his shots, I took down the PayPal link because, again, I'm not monetizing these words that God gives me, and I totally believe they come from God. If I have an insight that does not come from God, I'm very clear about that.
Leash and things of that nature. And I'm hoping to get a tent at least for the bug out bag that I have. So let's continue. The earthquake dream. I didn't believe at the time that it was a dream. That's why the title is in quotations under the Days of Noah playlist, number 2, My Dream of the Fallen.
What are you eating,
And
Sam?
I told you already about, you can go back to that and listen if you want to hear about what was, done to me in the dream. But what happened is once the fallen were there with me, and I was in the recliner in my living room, as far as I remember, the recliner rose above the house, and there was a giant chasm breaking up in the middle of the earth, just like you see in like a movie. It just started splitting down the center of my house. And what I got from that was a house divided, which my personal family did become divided after that. And now you see that we are a world divided. We are a nation divided and a society and civilization divided. And so that would be the spiritual interpretations of that dream. The literal interpretations, I would think, are obvious. It was made known to me that there would possibly be a giant earthquake coming. Now, let me preface this by saying, let me just add a note here, side note, that the links I shared with the doctor who was an alleged victim of UFO abductions, I found a few inconsistencies in her story, and I spoke on that earlier, so I don't want to have to speak on that again. But she said, some people are told that, these cataclysms will come upon man that never happen. Well, God gives his children plenty of time to repent, and he always makes things known through his prophets. And
I'm not saying that I am a prophet. I have dreams all the time that don't happen. But I've been in my own body and mind enough now for a long enough time that I know when I'm supposed to speak them out and warn people. In the story of Jonah, Nineveh actually avoided devastation. We will come back to this because I want to show you what's happening next. So in the story of Jonah, we are made to know that Nineveh avoided calamity and destruction because they repented. I don't think this earthquake can be avoided. Why? Because I don't know that it's an earthquake any longer, other than it is literally going to be a great resettling of our East Coast. And it's propagated because of the harvesting that they're doing now. Now you're going to say, Jen, what are you talking about? I'll show you pictures in a minute. But I was watching pictures from Helene come in, and they have all this sand on the beaches with all these moving equipment, right? With tractors and diggers and whatnot, backhoes, all that type of stuff. Number one, if they had this big of a storm, they could not have been moving that machinery during the storm. You have to understand, when the media shows you something, it is very prepared. They never give you anything, quote unquote, live. They will not and do not do that. Why is there sand why is it all over the roads and in piles, and why is it always already neatly organized? Why are there houses that are decimated and falling apart when there doesn't even look like the trees around that house have been under land? They are developing. They are doing what they did to the Native Americans. They did not learn. They have come into our land. Our government has sold us out, and they are mining. That is what they are doing. Now, I'm going to tie a lot of loose ends together right now for you, so please listen. If you are willing to be here now and hear somebody's message, hear them go through the whole thing. I know we all have very short attention spans, but any other videos you want to see will still be there. Just give me a few minutes to tie this together. Back in the day, and I know this because I've done my homework and my due diligence, you can do the same thing. I will not put links up for every little thing I go over because, again, some of these insights are instantaneous. So I'm going to give you this, what I think is a gold nugget for this whole thing. And then I'm going to go back again to that folder, and I'm going to show you a word that God gave me about the Antichrist. So let's go over this real quick. So the first thing is this. I'm going to read you something from my other phone while you look at this and try to put this together. Give me a second. These are prophetic verses from the Bible about quakes and about what I think we're seeing right now. Matthew 24:7, nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, light kingdom, dark kingdom, kingdom of God, kingdom of Satan, animal kingdom, and mankind kingdom. And there will be food shortages and earthquakes in one place after another. Mark 13:8, nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There will be earthquakes in one place after another. There will also be food shortages, pestilence. Luke 21:11. I love Luke. People rarely read it, but I like, he gives a lot of hidden information in it. There will be great earthquakes, and in one place after another, food shortages and pestilences. Jesus thus foretold that great earthquakes would occur in one place after another at a time when wars, food shortages, and pestilences would also be taking place. Are you seeing a lot of flies all over again? Flies go to filth, right? You know where they go. They hang out in dog doo-doo. And they also, they're like vultures. They hang around the deceased. And I know flies were bad all over in 2017. They are also a sign of either Baal or Balaam, because Baal just meant Lord. So the name might be Balaam, Lord of the Flies. Together, these events identify a period in human history called the conclusion of the system of things, or the last days. According to the Bible chronology, the last days began in 1914 and have not yet ended. I would agree with that mostly. Why am I showing you this? I'm going to go back again to a memory. There's a channel out there called That's Impossible with James. He went real big and he flashed the 666 sign, the AOK sign around his eye, and his kids did it too. And right after he went big, and he took down this video, but I'm going to tell you what he did a whole documentary. It was probably the best piece he had ever done, ever will do, and it was about 2 hours long. And it physically showed those things we saw in the sky years ago. We thought they were like Kraken or something. It shows them harvesting the water and moving the water and harvesting sand. Now you're going to say, Jen, how can they cause this flooding? Look, I was watching a channel yesterday because, again, I watch to observe. I don't really watch for the information that they're lying to us about. Number one, all the Appalachian channels got very big. I talked about hiking the Appalachian Trail in 2019. I was feeling literally called to go there, remember? And I told you that I believe that these other beings wake up every 100 years and they're hungry and they live underground. We know this from the Bible. They're not aliens. They've been here with us, okay? They were here before the flood. They were here after the flood. They were here at Golgotha, and they're here again this time. But that's not the biggest part of the story. They might be the physically biggest, but it's not the biggest part of the story. So let me continue. Oh, God, there's so many moving pieces. Okay. So he did this whole documentary on how sand is used in our phone screens, in our LCDs, in our tablets, in our televisions, in our laptops, in our computers. So I watched a channel who said they rode out Helene. They live on a boat. They made a house on a boat and it floats. It's literally like a 2-story house. If I find the video again, I will post it. But they were talking about how they rode Helene out in the lake. It wasn't as bad as it could have been because they were praising their local engineers for lowering the water in their lake. Hold up. You know what she's actually saying, right? Is they purposely opened the levees so that these small Appalachian towns would flood. But why would they want to purposely flood towns where people are? Number one, there was already a land grab. God seems to be leading me to all these things so that they can be revealed. So that's why I do this. First, they would have the land grab, right? They would go and they would try to buy the land from these people. Well, the old people would be holdouts. They would not leave. Back in the day, there was a lot of movies, like 80s movies that talked about this, like Cocoon and Batteries Not Included, where they tried to move out all these old people because they wanted to develop the land, but the old people wouldn't move. So what do you do when they won't leave? You make them leave. You flood the land. You do something to the land that makes it unsustainable for daily life. Were these incidents real? I mean, I don't know. I'm in Northeast Ohio. I know that we got a lot of rain after a drought. But the way that Florida looks right now, it does not look like hurricane damage. And I really don't care what people say anymore about me. Like, that doesn't even bother me. For example, I work with somebody who moved up here from Florida. This person will probably be very angry at me for mentioning them. I know you all watch the videos. I know it by the things you say to me. You know things about me that I've never told you that you should not know. You're literally bad actors. But I still love you. I still pray for you. I still work beside you, laugh with you, try to have joy with you. Sometimes I buy your lunches. because I'm trying to be Christ to you, to show you that you don't have to be this dishonest. And I also vet people. So these people that I work with and people that live in my small town, I'm allowed to be curious now that there's so many new faces, so many Florida license plates, so many tinted windows. So now, I vet people. That's what I do. I used to work in a bank and in cell phone technology. I had to do this for part of my job. So you think that people come into my personal life, I'm not going to look you up on every social media account you have across the board? You're foolish if you think I'm not doing that. I am doing that. And I saw some very curious things on the people who moved up here from Florida. Number one, isn't it very convenient that they moved up here right before all this let go and happened? Isn't that very interesting that occurred? I mean, they're very lucky, aren't they? That they moved up here right before the coastline of Florida was decimated. Very lucky, right? Or was it luck? A lot of insurance claims being made too now since CV and because of these natural disasters. People are banking off of this and they're profiting off of other people's pain. And yeah, their social media posts are weird, to say the least. Things about tributes and letting go. And I don't mean letting go in a normal sense. I mean whole accounts devoted to the topic of letting go. From these people, again, who suddenly showed up from Florida here in Ohio or stopping off in Ohio heading to New York. It's like these people are just trading places. I don't know, but I'm going to get to the rest of it right now. They use sand in our screens. And this is when I talk about the black goo as well. This is sentient life we're using. And some of it is ground up dust from the bones and fossils and remains of other beings. So if we think that frequency is not going to affect us in some way by using these devices, we're foolish. So real quick, this is what they're doing. And I'm going to show you that the Appalachian Mountains in Arkansas too. Watch for something to happen in Arkansas, because Arkansas is sitting on caves full of nothing but quartz. What does quartz do? I will tell you that now I ingest quartz at certain times. It heightens your clarity. It focuses your thoughts, and your frequency is a lot easier to control. And you also pick up on other frequencies easier, meaning you can act as a literal receiver for information floating in the air. That's what quartz does, guys. So everyone that thinks I'm not the physics girl, I'm not a science girl. But I had to learn to understand all these moving parts of what's happening right now. Because if you take my advice, go to a channel, I don't remember if it's called On 3 or something like that, with a prepper, really cool dude. Yeah, watch the videos since Helene. Watch how contrived they look. They look like they're acting. And I'm telling you, we've got a lot of military on our streets in plain clothes. We have since 2019. And Trump was taken to a bunker. And then the Pope allegedly died and the Queen died. But suddenly they were okay, and they didn't actually die until 2 years later. Do you see what's going on here? The heads of the most important institutions on the world are being taken off the board completely. And again, I've said this since day one. Game of Thrones. Somebody gave me that clue way back in the masks, when the masks started at Walmart. Somebody just started talking to me about Game of Thrones to see if I'd pick up on that. Do you see all the different people now that they're talking about in the royal family? How many different people got hurt at the same time? The one, Charles's sister, had a head injury. Couldn't remember how she got it. Somebody wants to move all these players off the board so that they can take the reins. Really interesting that Musk is also from Ohio. I didn't know that. Very interesting also that his old pictures look very, very CGI or AI generated. Again, I believe he's a proxy, and I believe I know the person who is going to be the Antichrist, or God is showing it to me so I understand it. We'll get to that next. It'll only be another 10 minutes, so if you can hang out, please do so. So phone screens are used from silicon dioxide. Glass is the insulator, but it does not conduct electricity. A thin layer of ITO is applied to the screen to create transparent circuits. Iridium tin oxide is used. It's highly conductive. It's applied to the screen in a crisscrossing grid pattern. When your finger touches the screen, it draws a small electric current from the ITO. Phone screens can also be made from organic light-emitting diodes or liquid crystal displays. Where do we get these, guys? Where does this stuff come from? Appalachian mining. Let's see what they got in their hills. Primarily coal. Now, we knew that. They've already strip mined everything, right? They've already done all this. The region has been a major coal producer since the 1800s. Surface coal mining. What do they mine? Coal. What is being mined? What is strip mining? Now, back in the day, they used to immigrate Asian folks, Chinese folks in particular. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's diabolical, okay? But I'm going to show you corporate greed at its finest. And you're going to see why your electricity and your daily life conveniences are nefarious. And you're probably going to hate me for it, and you're going to hate this message, and I don't care. This is what I've got to do. So they essentially enslaved Asian people and brought them here, and also Irish Catholics. Now, why specifically Asian people? Because they were smaller. They could get into places in the mines that other people could not get because they were tinier. Where do you think all the missing children are going? Where do you think they're going? You know, across the world for diamonds. This is why I never wanted a diamond, and I was a very conscious consumer when it comes to things like this. Diamond mining is done by children. These things are done by children. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the original story, the Grimm story, was not dwarfs. They were children because they were smaller and because there were no labor laws. So they could work them as long as they wanted to for as many hours a day as they wanted to, until literally they died and they would grab the next human resource, the person behind them. They use smaller people for mining because of greed. This is why we're facing what we're facing. We are under judgment, and God is allowing us all in America to be enslaved for our natural resources. I told you, if they ever decide to go nuclear, it will not be, you won't know about it. They're not going to be talking about it on the news. You know, national security, anything that they're showing on the news, you'd be foolish to give away your plays to the enemy. That's not how it's done, guys. And we shouldn't really want it done that way. We don't need to know every little thing that goes on. Or get rid of your big government. But they already have something in place that's going to come next. We got to look at what else can be mined there. Nickel, titanium, graphite, cobalt, okay? Limestone. Limestone, when you grind it up, what is it? It's sand. You have limestone, you have, what's the other one? Is it granite? Iron ore, salt, marble, and granite. So the Appalachian Mountains has everything. Here it is. What gemstones are in the Appalachian Mountains? Quartz. What is quartz? When you break it down, you ground it up, it's sand, silica. It is the things used in the phone screens. We have become so irresponsible with our consumerism and our capitalism that it's no wonder the other nations hate us. No, I'm not a socialist. No, I'm not a communist. I'm not any of those things. And I refuse and refute all of those labels. I'm a human being who's concerned for my fellow man and my American citizen, because you're going to see a new generational wealth build up really quickly here. And it's going to be because people knew about this and they're profiting off of the pain that they are not now causing the people who were quote unquote holdouts. You had people there who would not move. They would not sell out. Now they've got to get rid of them because they can't have them talking about it, right? They can't be saying, well, gee, that guy from Speedway or BP Gas was trying to buy my land 5 years ago. Why did they want it? And now this? They really want me off this land. Guys, this goes back, and you don't have to listen to me. Don't listen to your teachers. You're being indoctrinated. Do real research and look how America was created and built. It's been happening since the beginning, but now they're going to enslave its own people. They've got enough of us here now. They've got enough immigrants here that whatever group doesn't want to go along with the storyline, the plot line, the narrative that they're creating, they're going to get rid of us. Like, that's the next step in all of this. Why is there going to be an earthquake? I don't know if it's going to be an earthquake so much as a settling of things. Now, I'll use, let me use Arkansas. And I'm blessed with a decent memory. God lets me memorize, like, I just instantly memorize all of the things we research, so I can just go back and look for it. So we want to see a map. That's what we want to see. How many underground tunnels are there? Because I know they got a lot of quartz. All right, I want a map. Show me a map. Oops, sorry, guys. I'm still on this backup device, so. Okay, let's pull up a map. All right. So Hot Springs Creek Tunnel, you've got tunnels there. Oh, well, that's handy. Let's look at the whole United States. Funny how there's nothing in the middle of the map, though, isn't there? The UFO sightings are always the exact same, and so are the Bigfoot sightings. They're always the same as the underground maps. All three of those coincide together, okay? Now, this says, you see what it says, Inner Earth Tunnels, Labyrinth of Bases. Regardless, dream of underground tunnel system with children in Utah. I'm ready to go. If anyone wants to go see what's in these tunnels, I am so ready. I'm like past ready. And I know almost exactly where we're supposed to go. But anyways, don't you think that if we have all these tunnels and if people are getting greedy, especially if they've killed off or ended or conveniently gotten rid of a lot of engineers right before all this started, which I went over that too. Don't you think it'd be pretty easy to make mistakes, all these people who are newer at this, all the younger generation that they're bringing in? They're going to cause a great destabilization of our land. And we already have a fault line on the East Coast. It's going to be because of the uneven distribution of water and land and the underground tunnels. It is the perfect storm to create an entirely new East Coast with some speckled islands. This brings me no pleasure to talk about these things, but the message that God gave me, the dreams that I know God gave me about the flooding were correct. Please listen. Please prepare your soul. Please don't give in to greed at this time. Those who are persecuting you, be extra nice to them. And I'm going to show you a verse that if you don't want to do it for your own soul, that maybe you'll do it because of this. But again, it's insight. It's all about this insight and putting all these things together. So now what I'm going to show you is a video I did. And I told you, I don't usually write like this, no matter what I am. I don't really go along with titles or labels, and somebody told me from the Mormon church, our prophets are just like prophets of old. They write just like prophets. Dude, you're acting. That's not real. That's how they wrote in that time. So that's why prophets wrote like that. In this time, we don't write like that, and people will not hear and comprehend and understand that way. So I'm giving it to you in the easiest and most concise manner that I possibly can, because I could go over these dreams and what actually happened in them. It's like I woke up with a hole inside of me because I was missing the people that I was with and struggling with in these dreams. I'm still like that. I still, I will be in a certain place or mindset with certain people in a dream, and I will wake up and I would rather be there helping them than in this clown world that we seem to be living in right now. So this doesn't bring me any type of pleasure other than I hope God is pleased And I hope that this helps somebody out there. So I'm going to show you a two-parter, but you don't have to watch the whole thing if you do not want to. I'm going to pull it up and read to it. And I think, hold on, let me check the information. This is November 1st, 2020. Wow, this one's older.
Hi, guys.
Okay, this is part 2. Here's part 1. Okay. So, yeah, I guess I will show you this. And this information is on an old phone, so I can't even just pull it up and show it to you. So I'm not going to play the whole thing. I will scroll through it and read along with it, or allow you guys to read it. Okay, so this is attributes and actions of the Antichrist. And a child shall lead them. He shall break the laws of physics, the lawless one, and bend them to his will. Space and time shall not hold him. He shall not have known the love of a woman at the time of his reveal. He will sell to people a false love, as that's all he has known. He shall instill a false respect in many, though it will be guilt that keeps many from speaking against him due to his reminder of their own family. Again, this is a word God gave me. I don't even have total insight as to what all this means just yet, okay? So I'll continue. His reveal will cause many to become more disobedient to their parents, not to honor them, because again, normally in an inheritance, the oldest son will take the reins. He will literally be the king or whatever. Everything here is inverted. You're going to see the Antichrist is probably going to be an only child or the youngest child of a family. And again, I'm seeing it play out in my own family. That's how God shows me things. So his reveal will cause many to become more disobedient to their parents, not to honor them. He shall tear down old laws to cause disrespect to the old ways as well as the older generation. The family unit shall be divided, and many shall fall because of him, but also due to secrets revealed with him. He shall be made to look a hero, him and his false prophet, but they are like the very wolves they shall accuse and arrest. So that's the persecution of the saints, I'm assuming. And it says, and a child shall lead them. They shall turn their minds from heavenly things and heavenly ways because of secrets revealed. Many hearts will turn cold and harden. I'm now seeing what this means. All those YouTubers revealing people and showing secret messages. When you expose evil, that's not how you're supposed to do it. You're not supposed to expose a person. You're not supposed to publicly humiliate and shame them. But that's what's happening to a lot of people. And it will happen to almost everyone, except for the people who sell out. I finally remembered where I saw this one person in town. Couldn't place her face, couldn't place it. Then I remembered she looked a little different, but she was in my home. And it was when I first got a hint that things were very, very wrong. I didn't know her. She was older than my son, very good looking young lady. And she went into his room and his door was open, and it was my other son's birthday party, but she went into his room and I looked in there and it looked like she was kneeling in front of him, said a few words, got up and left. That was it. In the beginning of all this, when I was being beaten and assaulted to try and traumatize me and stunt me and probably kill me, to stop me from waking up. That was one of the things that the Antichrist spirit that I believe was in my husband at that time told me to get on my knees. And well, first I had to look in the mirror and tell myself what a horrible person I was. And then I had to get on my knees in front of him and beg his forgiveness. Again, it wasn't presented to me in the real way, but I did it. I've repented of it since. Obviously, you should not ever have to do that, no matter who it is you're asking for forgiveness. Well, maybe the Most High or yourself, your own conscience. This is a theme. He's going to be revealed soon. And again, even, if it should be possible, even the elect shall be fooled. So it says the family unit shall be divided. We're seeing that. He shall be made to look like a hero, him and his false prophet. Trump and Elon, anybody? Remember, they're proxies. I'm also waiting for Harry to make a big jump on the scene here, but we'll get back to that with the mining in a minute. Remember the mining and Elon and Harry. Don't forget those two parts. And a small child shall lead them. They shall turn their minds from heavenly things and heavenly ways because of secrets revealed. Many hearts will turn cold and harden. Okay, I'm trying to get through this a little bit because I don't want you to have to. There we go. It is a time of inversion. Flip this verse below, book and chapter. What number do you get? 9:11, Isaiah 11:6. The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb. The leopard shall lie down with the young goat. The calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them. Again, the Savior, baby Christ, baby Jesus, we're supposed to see that in a certain type of way, but chances are we're seeing everything inverted in this time. And then this is just my own little do not lose faith simply because what's good is bad and bad is good. Okay. I'm here to witness the ending of an age, to aid those who have been left behind. Yes, everyone may have been correct. There may be indeed 3 raptures. We are all to raise an alarm when we receive a message, prophecy, dream, or answer to prayer from the Most High God. Though persecution may come for speaking against such a person, only through a loving Father God will the new age begin. The false kingdom shall rise quickly and fall even quicker. Have faith. Remember, he only gets 3.5 years. He doesn't get that long. All right. Part 2. I'm going to read it. This person and his false prophet have left their first love. They have set her on a shelf and found another. I don't know exactly what all these things even mean at this point yet. And I've not looked at this since 2020 when I wrote it and recorded it on the other channel. The eagle now secretly lies with the red dragon, making a covenant that shall only bear rotten fruit. Wow, that's before he even had his baby or met that girl. Wow. His miracles shall have witnesses to show he harnesses the power of time, but what is in the counterfeit kingdom is also manifest in the kingdom of God, of which there is no substitute. Meaning it will appear as though he has control over time, but it's just an illusion like everything else. It's counterfeit. He has stolen it from God. There are many Trojan horses. Do you know what a Trojan horse is? If you've never heard that story, look it up. I've went over it many times. It's a horse that they gifted another nation with, but instead of, that would be like if France gifted us the Statue of Liberty, and when we got it here, a bunch of soldiers came out and took over the land. Like that's what a Trojan horse is. And by us letting in certain immigrants and not doing background checks, we have people here who hate us and probably have good reason to hate us because of something that happened to their parents or their grandparents. His miracles shall have witnesses to show he harnesses the power of time, but what is in the counterfeit kingdom is also manifest in God's kingdom, of which there is no substitute. So remember, these 2 kingdoms are going to look very similar soon. There are many Trojan horses here. The enemy is within already. Their fruits shall be the very land you walk upon. Wow, that could. And again, I haven't read this since 2020. I added it in because I recalled it a little bit and knew that it was. I just follow what the Holy Spirit leads me to do at this time. Their fruits shall be the very land you walk upon, the bodies of those and their children who were betrayed. Wow. That's like Helene. That's what we're seeing happening, that they're more concerned with harvesting silica. Why do you think all of them are asking for Starlink? Oh, we have to have it. We have to have it. We need to be able to reach people. That's their excuse. They're showing you people asking for it because they've already put it up. They're putting it up whether we want it or not. Why do you think those big YouTubers, Steve the Camping Man, whose wife mysteriously died, and then he got the black eye, put all this together, man. These people that you're giving your money to here on YouTube, they're no good. They've all been part of this agenda. And they've all been promoting Starlink for a couple of years now. And most people say they really don't care for it. But they're not giving us a choice. They're saying people are begging for it, so they're going to give it to victims of Helene as if that's their first priority instead of clean water and sanitary conditions so that people can go to the restroom. And it's not getting in the groundwater that they're then ingesting and making them ill. That is what you should be focused on, not the flipping internet. And yeah, I'm mad. You should be too. It's disgusting. So I'll read that again. And again, I've not read this since 2020. If you didn't see me I'll show you again. I always feel like I got to prove to people. November 1st, 2020. There are many Trojan horses here in the borders, the enemy within already. Their fruit shall be the very land you walk upon, the bodies of those and their children who were betrayed. However, God will not have them dealing such a grand harvest, as he shall speak his discontent through the mother earth. Plague shall come down when the prophets of God call them down, as in the days of old. This shall be your quote unquote staff. That is a breadcrumb for you if you're a child of God. Remember how Moses was in Egypt and he said, let my people go. And every time the prophet said no, he called down upon a new plague. I wonder why it is every time I ask for rain or sun, I get it. And there's been a few times I've said, if CV is a real thing, it needs to go to all those who are harming children. It needs to go to those who have abused children. And you know exactly what I'm talking about there. Isn't it funny that the community most concerned with that issue, with that V, is in the rainbow community? They're the ones you're seeing running around with the masks most often, or people in polyamorous relationships, because they know what it actually is and they know what's going on. And it's filth. With all of the suffering going on in our nation and other nations, you still have YouTubers on here, influencers talking about banking and making money and their beautiful car. That's all going to be void, man. It's all nothing. And you're going to see that, all of us, very soon. Plague shall come down when the prophets of God call them down, as in the days of old. This shall be your staff, the word of truth, your sword, and mighty faith shall be your shield. Those who have betrayed their first love shall be made obvious, as what's inside one's heart will come to the surface on their skin. Boils, anyone? A reckoning is coming. Are you prepared? Now, I just want to see if there's any more under this. I'm not going to make you listen to Jen from 4 years ago. I just want to make sure that's the bottom. Okay. It is the end. Please ignore my growling belly. All right, so real quick, let's take it to Elon and iridium. Let's look where Elon said we should all invest in iridium mining. So let's look at that and check out where that's at. Sorry, my phone is dying. I could use a backup device, but now knowing where they get all the sand and all that jazz, I'm really not big into that anymore. Okay, so what are we going to write up here? The idiom. Should we do harvesting? Where can you get it? Where is it abundant? Okay, that's a game. Yeah, that's Farmville. Iridium nodes can be found in the Quarry, Skull Cavern, and Volcano Dungeon. This is another game. Is that not what he said? Sulfide layers in Canada, Russia, and South Africa. Most iridium is mined in Canada, Russia, and South Africa. Elon is from South Africa, and we've got a lot of stuff going on with Russia and Canada now. So just don't forget that he said that was a thing that you should invest in. And let's look, what was the last one? Was it onyx that we were going to look up? Oh, shoot, fiddlesticks. Sorry, what is abundant? What is that called? Because they were talking about that REM instead of being a dream thing. It had something to do with mining. Oh God, we looked at that probably a year ago. To harvest in. I don't want to hear just about. Okay, blueberry, tobacco, apples, tomatoes, cabbage. We know that. Coal. We know that. Zinc, aluminum, titanium, talc, and mica. Talc, we know, causes the big C. Allegedly, at this point, that's pretty obvious they've been sued over that. Deposits of granite and marble and amethyst. Granite. Rubies, garnets, sapphires, quartz. Arkansas has the most quartz. Watch that area next. And I've had a lot of stalkers from that area as well. Quartz crystal deposits, popularity by commercial operators, public access, Cheetah National Forest. Arkansas has some of the best quartz in the world. Now, quartz, when you grind it down, does the same thing as silica. So again, all of these things, and North Carolina. And California, imagine that. We are draining our natural resources because of greed and because of the telephones. And the earth is going to retaliate because it's a living object. And when you take something, you need to be giving something back. You cannot just strip mine one area and then you're never going to be able to farm it. You're going to ruin it for generations to come. That's why you're supposed to rotate crops and things every 7 years, every 7 cycles. We might not be in the tribulation, but for all intents and purposes, America is under judgment and we are in tribulation. If you don't believe me, watch some of the Helene videos of the Appalachians right now in Asheville. Tell me that those are regular citizens who look like they are, it's plainclothes military, man. Like I know what it looks like. I don't want this to be any longer. I love you guys. I pray for you all the time. I could use a couple of prayers if you don't mind. Please be prepared for anything that might come your way. Please do not allow greed to blind you because that will not just hurt you, it will hurt those around you. I wanted to show you this verse too. And it's really weird because I asked this person, I said, how's all your family down south doing with everything going on down there? And she's like, what are you talking about? I said, well, Hurricane Helene. Oh. And then she laughed with the other person when I left. And I'm like, and I even asked him when I came back, I said, are hurricanes fake too now? Like, what's going on? And I told you that. I told you I had a feeling we were watching old news, like old things that they had filmed in advance. Whatever is going on is already going on, right? Like whatever we have a suspicion about, it's already happening. They're just not broadcasting it. Don't expect the television and the internet to tell you everything. You've got to take these things. Any theory class that you took in college is the same way. They give you all this information in a box or whatever. You've got to put it together in the way that it goes together best. And this is the only way that all these puzzle pieces go together is strip mining and ripping out the natural resources of the heart of America. Because I told you over and over again, any other nation that wants to go to war with us would be dumb because we are a bountiful land and we have abundant resources here. And so we do. This is weird. People around me all the time try to block my charitable acts. They don't let me do good. I work around it and I do good anyways, but they try to block my charitable acts and I really have a problem with that. And I can't figure out, why do you care if I do charitable acts? What does it matter to you if I pray for that person? Because that man, Grimace, gives me a hard time with his dogs, right? And he's a big guy. Like, yeah, he scares me a little bit physically and he shouldn't be doing that. But I came home and I prayed for him. And the spouse was like, don't pray for him. Don't be praying for him. He's like, and I'm like, why do you think you're so blessed? I pray for my enemies every day. But check this out. I had no idea. It's funny, the little bits you don't notice when you're just reading and you don't pay attention. Bless your enemies. Now, this is the MSG version, the message, just to make it more friendly, I guess. Bless your enemies. No cursing under your breath. Laugh with your happy friends when they're happy. Share tears when they're down. Get along. Make up. Don't be stuck up. Make friends. Well, let's get out of it. I don't like that version. Let's get rid of it. MSG, KJV. Bless them which persecute you, and curse not. Therefore, if thine enemy is hungry, feed him. If he thirst, give him drink. For in doing so, thou shalt heap coals of fire on his head. Be not overcome of evil, be overcome with good. So that means every time you pray for your enemy, and if they are truly your enemy, they're feeling it in a painful way. Thought that was very interesting. I was wondering why so many people didn't want me praying for like others. Don't pray for that person. They were mean to you. Don't pray for that person. Da da da. But he always does that. He always tries to get me away from his people. And the ones he curses the loudest about are the ones that are usually he's tightest with. And that's just how this works here in this place with these inverted versions of my friends and family. So I thought that was interesting, and I just wanted to show it to you real quick. So what did we learn today? Keep your eyes peeled. I'm going to share a couple of videos on my community tab, but I don't want to come right out and say, hey, I believe this is a military op. I want you to watch it and be able to catch that and be able to know when people are acting and when they are in their normal persona and not wearing a mask. I really hope people see this and hear this message. I do believe I don't know if it's going to be a quake or what is going to happen exactly, but I know that we are in for a great storm here because of the unequal distribution of people from state to state, of water, and of the sand that's now all over the place, and the underground tunnels. Because we don't have any old timers left who are geniuses at that stuff because they wanted to get rid of all them. You don't have to believe me. All you got to do is go back in the facts and look what happened when CV began and what happened in the nursing homes. Those are the wisest people of our generations. And all of that knowledge and wisdom and all that beautiful humanity just gone because of greed. People suffering out there because of your greed, because you got to have the coolest shoes or the best kicks, or you don't want to work, or you want two families and you don't want your wives to know. You got to let them think you're going to work, so you got to keep pumping that money in, right? There's a lot of nasty, nefarious things going on with a lot of people in the middle I didn't choose any of this. But I believe God put some of us right in the middle of it so we could speak to it and witness it. So that's what I'm doing. I love you all. Stay blessed. Have a great day. We'll talk soon.